Old saying goes that all good things must come to an end, and one of the saddest things about a console's demise is being someone who just can't let go. By the time of San Francisco Rush 2049's release in late 2000, we all knew that this would be the last Rush game on the console, and so we had high hopes for one last hurrah to finish the series with a bang. When I first saw screenshots of the game, it was actually of the Dreamcast version. We all knew it was a more powerful console, and so my heart sank as I expected that the N64 version would not look anywhere near as good, and it seemed that the Dreamcast version would be the studio's top priority. But within moments of playing the game I couldn't have been happier. Not only is Rush 2049 one of the best looking races on the console, it's perhaps one of the best playing as well. Taking the series from the present day into the future hasn't really altered the insane amount of mayhem that the game contains. And if anything, they fixed every single mistake the previous games contained to release what many people consider to be the pinnacle of the series. Being a futuristic racer, I was a little concerned that it would be lost amongst the large number of futuristic racers already squeezed onto the console. Remember that by this point we already had games like F-Zero X, Wipeout 64, and not to mention more than one game in the Extreme G series. So setting itself apart would be tough. But with 6 tracks which can be raced both ways, 4 stunt courses and 8 battle arenas, the game certainly tried to pack in so much content to keep everybody happy. Perhaps the biggest addition to the game though was in its wing feature, which gives you a new level of control over your car whilst it's in the air. By doing this you can not only line up your landings to keep your momentum going, but you can also use this to pull off some even more insane stunts than ever before. Also a first in this series was expansion pack support, which gives the visuals not only a nice bump, but it also helps to lock down the most solid frame rate the series has ever had. Despite all these new additions though, you'll be pleased to know that the game retains everything you've loved from the previous entries in the series. The core single player mode involves tackling a number of circuits against opponents which unfortunately do have a predetermined race path, and so once you learn their routes it becomes quite easy to pick them off one by one and work your way up into first place. To aid you in doing this though, the game retains the same secret routes the series is famed for, but this time they are devilishly hidden, and often involve hitting secret switches to unlock pathways to follow. Some of the courses are that well designed that on a first playthrough you may not think there are any hidden routes at all, but exploration is the key to the game and it really rewards you for doing this. And speaking of the switches, they don't all lead to hidden routes because they can also be used to alter the track, such as putting up barriers. This is incredibly satisfying because if timed right, you can wipe out your opponents in one swoop and then speed past them to take the lead. The collectathon side of the game is also here, and collecting coins in the game unlocks a multitude of secrets. In addition to the 13 cars, there are also further ones to access. Most of the cars are futuristic in style but retain the same formats as the previous entries in the series, so expect to see high powered trucks, sleek rocket fueled sports cars and muscle cars with engines hanging outside of them. They handle in a very similar vein to the other Rush games, which many people either love or they hate. Rush 2 Stunt Mode was perhaps what kept gamers playing for months on end. It wasn't particularly fleshed out, but gamers had just loved pulling off wacky moves and seeing the hilarity that ensued. This time around the developers realised just how popular this had been, and so really put a lot of time and effort into making this the star attraction. The new points-based system calculates and rewards you for all of your aerial antics. Flips, rolls, spins and airtime are all combined when landed to hit you with some serious multipliers which will leave you addicted to topping your personal high scores. The battle mode is almost as deep as games like Vigilante 8, in a sense that it equips your car with weapons and you have a simple task of blowing up your opponents. This multiplayer only mode is fun, but like the stunt mode, many gamers may not have the patience to unlock all of the courses. With the expansion pack, slowdown is no big issue even with 4 players, and if it's just you and a friend, you could always choose to race the courses in the standard mode, but with the multiplayer mode being as solid, then you'll most likely rarely play this mode at all. The first Rush game had fair visuals for its time, and many gamers were disappointed that Rush 2 didn't seem to push the console as far as it could have been. Rush 2049 thankfully has crisp textures and models, and even some beautiful lighting effects. The effects have also been improved, so for those of you who had seen enough pixelated explosions in the first 2 games, you'll be pleased to see that even these have now been brought up to speed. In my opinion, this game also has the best audio in the series. Using a mix of big beat, breakbeat and drum and bass, it certainly sounded superb for its time. The Dreamcast and N64 versions of the game both have almost entirely different soundtracks, but they are equally fantastic. And if you're wondering how the N64 version crammed in so much good music, well, it was thanks to the usage of Factor 5's music's compression, which many later games were adopting. Simply said, this is the pinnacle of the Rush series, and the only way to find a better Rush game in my opinion is to play the slightly superior Dreamcast version. But as far as the N64 releases go, this is pretty hard to beat. It has enough depth in its single player modes, multiple ways to play this with friends, and enough secrets to keep you discovering new ones for months on end. For those interested, a planned sequel to the series was in development, and it was called Hot Rod Rebels, and there is actually footage of it here on YouTube. It's instantly recognisable as a Rush game, but sadly it was cancelled when the coin-op division of Atari was shut down. So as we bring an end to this special week of Rush reviews, it all boils down to this. I want to know what you think the best Rush game is and why. Was it the pure arcade intensity of the original, the refined and updated sequel Rush 2, or was it this game which seemed to find the perfect balance of everything they had tried in the previous games? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and until next time.